Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Canal Algérie's nightly news edition. To the headlines. In his capacity as the chairperson of the Forum of Heads of State and Government of the African Peer Review Mechanism, the President of the Republic presides over the swearing ceremony of Ambassador Marie-Antoinette Rose-Cloutier as the new Chief Executive Officer of the APRM Secretariat. The Minister Delegate to the National Defense Ministry and the PNA Chief of Staff installs the new commander of the land forces and reaffirms Algeria's determination to preserve its sovereignty and territorial integrity. The Makhzen regime intimidates Sahrawi militants and attacks journalists to deter them from revealing the heinous exactions. Welcome back. First in our news, in his capacity as the chair of the Forum of Heads of State and Government of the African Peer Review Mechanism, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, presided over the swearing ceremony of Ambassador Marie-Antoinette Rose-Cloutier as the new Chief Executive Officer of the Continental Secretariat of the African Mechanism. Full roundup of the event with Minissa Kabash.
In his capacity as President of the Forum of Heads of State and Government of the African Peer Review Mechanism, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, presided over the swearing-in ceremony of Ambassador Marie-Antoinette Rose-Cloutier as the new Executive Director of the Continental Secretariat of the African Peer Review Mechanism before signing her minutes of installation. On this occasion, the President of the Republic addressed a keynote speech in which he affirmed his commitment to serve the African causes before congratulating Ambassador Marie-Antoinette Rose-Cloutier for her nomination.
عادت السفيرة ماري-أنطوانيت روز كاتر بصفة رئيسا لمنتدى دول وحكومات الآلية الإفريقية للتقييم من قبل النظراء. أود أن أهنئكم على هذا التعيين ويشرفني أن أشهد أداءكم اليمين كمديرة تنفيذية جديدة للأمانة القارية للآلية الإفريقية. تجمعنا اليوم هذه المناسبة السعيدة لنقف معا متحدين في التزامنا بدعم قيم الحكم الراشد والشفافية في جميع أنحاء قارتنا الإفريقية.
The head of state also expressed his conviction that the African mechanism will further prosper and have more positive impacts on African peoples.
قيادتكم وتفانيكم نحن على ثقة من أن آليتنا ستستمر في الازدهار وإحداث تأثير إيجابي على حياة شعوب القارة. أتمنى أن تغتنم هذه الفرصة بشغف وعزيمة.
For Marie-Antoinette Rose-Cloutier, she addressed her warm salute as new Executive Director of the Continental Secretariat of the African Peer Review Mechanism, indicating that it is an honor and a privilege to be able to occupy this position, expressing her thanks for the confidence entrusted in her, as it is a heavy responsibility that she is willing to assume fully. The oath she's taken in front of the leaders and God made her realize the nobleness of the mission appointed to her, reiterating her commitment to work relentlessly to the service of the peoples with loyalty, to respond to their aspirations with professionalism and integrity. Congratulating on this occasion once again President Abdelmajid Tebboune, President of the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria, for his re-election and the large support and confidence placed in him by the Algerian people. President Tebboune, as indicated, is a telling evidence of the Africa we all aspire, a continent where fundamental right of people to elect democratically its leader is a sacred right. The re-election of President Tebboune reflects the popular recognition of the remarkable efforts he'd made and the confidence of the Algerian people in their leader that achieved his objectives. At the end of the ceremony, a souvenir photo was taken to mark the event.
After the swearing ceremony held in the presence of the President of the Republic in his capacity as the President of the Forum of Heads of State and Government of the African Peer Review Mechanism, APEM, Ambassador Marie-Antoinette Rose Quilter, the new Executive Director of the Continental Secretariat of the African Peer Review Mechanism, was received by the President of the Republic. The audience took place in the presence of the Principal Private Secretary to the Presidency of the Republic, Abu Alam Balem, and the State Minister, Minister of Foreign Affairs, the National Community Abroad and African Affairs, Ahmed Attaf. Following the audience, Marie-Antoinette Rose had this to say to our reporter.
As a new Chief Executive Officer of the African Peer Review Mechanism, the APRM, before His Excellency President Abdelmadjid Tebboune, the President of the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria. He will head the APRM as the chairperson of the APR Forum of Heads of State and Government for the next 2 years. During my engagements with His Excellency the President, we have outlined the key priority areas for the APRM. The APRM is the African Union organ of good governance, and our mandate is to ensure that the principles and standards of good governance and democracy are upheld and practiced in our member states, including the crucial role that the press plays in our societies. As a new CEO of the APRM, my vision is to bring APRM closer to the people, our African brothers and sisters, and ensure that we deliver our mandate with impact and clear and tangible results. I thank you. Shukran.
On behalf of the President of the Republic, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Minister of National Defense, the Army General Said Chingrihab, Minister Delegate to the Minister of National Defense, Chief of Staff of the People's National Army, presided over today the installation ceremony of Major General Mustafa Ismaili as new Commander of the Land Forces. Min al-Maafa with more.
Following the welcoming ceremony, the Army General observed a minute of silence at the entrance of the Land Forces Command Headquarters in the memory of the martyr Didush Morad, whose name is borne by the headquarters of the command. The Army General laid a wreath of flowers at the martyr's memorial and recited the Fatiha in his memory and in tribute to all the valiant martyrs. Later on, the Army General inspected the ranks of officers and personnel of the Land Forces Command assembled at the parade ground. He then officially announced the installation of the new commander of the Land Forces, Major General Mustafa Ismaili, succeeding Major General Ammar Atamniya.
باسم السيد رئيس الجمهورية.
In his keynote speech, Army General Said Chingrihab officially installed Major General Mustafa Ismaili as the new commander of the Land Forces on behalf of the President of the Republic, Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces and Minister of National Defense, according to the Presidential Decree of November 12, 2024.
عمار ثمني.
All personnel are instructed to serve under his authority, follow his orders, and execute his directives in the interest of duty and in compliance with military regulations, while ensuring loyalty to the sacrifices of the valiant martyrs and the values of the glorious November Revolution.
وقوانين الجمهورية ووفاء لتضحيات شهدائنا الأبرار وتخليدا لقيم
The Army General then presided over the handover ceremony of the national flag.
National.
Following the signing of the handover protocol, the Army General held a meeting with the leadership, staff and personnel of the Land Forces Command headquarters. He delivered a directive speech broadcast via video conference to all Land Forces units, emphasizing his personal commitment to ensuring that the rotation in positions and functions remains a consistent tradition and culture, fostering a renewed dynamic within the ranks of the PNA.
مستجدة وتهديدات أكثر تعقيدا تستوجب منا التكيف معها باستمرار.
He then stated that on this occasion he emphasizes that the rotation of positions and functions at various levels is a commendable tradition and a routine practice in the organization and management of institutions. Each leader contributes by striving to improve performance quality, create optimal conditions, and mobilize qualified human resources, all aimed at ensuring the institution's continuity in service of the state and its key interests. A new dynamism in light of the rapid changes affecting our region, including new security challenges and complex threats.
وديناميكية متجددة لا سيما على ضوء التحولات المتسارعة التي تشهدها منطقتنا والتي تحمل في طياتها تحديات أمنية مستجدة وتهديدات أكثر تعقيدا تستوجب منا التكيف باستمرار.
The Army General also warned against voices and spokespersons who, via erroneous interpretations and analysis, seek to sow doubt and confusion among the national public opinion.
ولكننا لازلنا نسجل.
It was noted that these voices and spokespersons often emerge whenever there is a change within the military institution, which, like any other organization, naturally undergoes changes. These voices were said to present interpretations and analysis that are both false and biased, aiming to sow doubt and confusion among the national public. Confidence was also expressed that citizens are aware of these maneuvers, reportedly orchestrated from abroad by subversive groups and individuals labeled as traitors and sellouts. These actions were said to occur whenever the country reaffirms its steadfast positions on just causes globally or asserts its commitment to sovereignty and independent decision-making. It was also reaffirmed that patriotic individuals within the ranks would continue to work to strengthen the country's national resilience and fortify the PNA in the service of the nation's stability and the defense of its supreme interests.
على شعبها الأبي الذي سيقف مع قاداته في كافة الظروف والأحوال كرجل واحد أمام أي جهة تنوي الإضرار بجزائر الشهداء.
At the end of the ceremony, the Army General listened to interventions of officials and personnel of the Land Forces Command and listened as well to their grievances.
The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, decided to allocate an additional quota for citizens registered in the 2025 Hajj or pilgrimage draw. Estimated around 2,000 permits for individuals aged 70 and above who registered 10 times or more. The Ministry of Interior and Local Collectivities informs all citizens who registered in the Hajj draw and were unlucky enough to win the regular draw that this special draw will be held on Saturday, 23rd of current November at the level of governorate's premises or any suitable location in the presence of the concerned or their representatives. On to the operational report of the People's National Army's activity in the past week. In the context of the fight against terrorism, 2 terrorists surrendered to the military authorities of Burj Baji Mukhtar, namely Fulani Ahmed, known as Abu Bakr al-Tahir, and Tibari Azin, known as Abdul Hakim. The 2 terrorists were in possession of 2 Kalashnikov submachine guns, quantity of ammunition, and other items. On the other hand, detachments of the People's National Army arrested 6 support elements to terrorist groups during separate operations. As part of the fight against organized crime and the continuation of the tireless efforts aimed at countering the scourge of drug trafficking in our country. Combined detachments of the PNA intercepted, in coordination with the Defense Security Services in operations across the military regions, 55 drug traffickers and averted attempts to introduce 4 quintals and 6 kilograms of processed kief through the borders with Morocco, while 6 kilograms of cocaine and 439,600 psychotropic tablets were seized. In Tamnaras, Borjbeji Mukhtar and Ingizam, detachments of the People's National Army arrested 200 individuals and seized 30 vehicles, 192 generators, 97 jackhammers, 8 metal detectors, quantities of mixture of raw gold and stones, explosives, detonation tools, and other equipment used in illegal gold mining operations. On the other hand, 8 other individuals were arrested in 12 hunting rifles, 4 automatic pistols, a sniper rifle, 14,900 liters of fuel, as well as 12 tons of foodstuffs intended for smuggling and speculation were seized during separate operations across the national territory. For their part, the border guard thwarted attempts of illegal immigration of individuals on board of homemade boats and rescued 231, while 198 illegal immigrants of different nationalities were arrested across the national territory. And communique. And you're still watching Canal Algérie's final bulletin of the day. Coming up in our news. The Algerian culture is being displayed in Italy with a series of activities highlighting its rich patrimony and genuine identity in the Mediterranean basin. Welcome back. We continue. International developments now. The Sahrawi Human Rights Commission firmly condemned the criminal acts of the Moroccan occupier against the Sahrawi activists, journalists, and human rights militants who were attacked in an intimidation attempt aimed at silencing the truth of the suffering of the Sahrawis under Moroccan occupation. Case in point in the upcoming report. The repression by the Makhzen against the Sahrawi people is escalating, with the objective of silencing any opposition to Moroccan occupation. Tactics such as arbitrary arrests, physical violence, and media blackouts are being used to suppress Sahrawi activists who demand their right to self-determination. In spite of these challenges, the Sahrawi resistance remains strong, supported by journalists, human rights advocates, and committed citizens who tirelessly expose the abuse by the Makhzen. Among them is Mohammed Haiba Mayara, a Sahrawi journalist who was violently attacked by the Makhzen security services. This assault appears to be a direct retaliation for Mayara's activism, particularly his outspoken criticism of Morocco's occupation of Western Sahara and the illegal exploitation of its resources. His political views and his efforts to shed light on human rights violations in the region have clearly become a source of irritation for the authorities. They are widespread and systematic violations of civil, political, economic, and social rights that occur on a daily basis, transforming the region into a completely sealed-off area. As a journalist, I can confirm that all information and statistics provided by the Makhzen are falsified. Over 500 foreign observers and journalists were prohibited from entering Western Sahara since 2015 until today. We live in a zone completely isolated. Mohammed Haiba Mayara is not and will not be the last to suffer the repressions of the Moroccan regime. Like hundreds of activists and Sahrawi journalists, they are facing constant attempts at censorship while trying to expose the reality in the occupied territories and to denounce daily human rights abuses by the Makhzen. The Makhzen strikes again, this time in the French capital Paris, with an attempt to interrupt the conference held for the freedom of press. Melissa Gabash tells us more.
The Moroccan people isn't the only one raped from its rights, as the Moroccan media suffers from the same fate. If it wasn't for the international community and brave militant, the voice of this oppressed people wouldn't be heard. This time, their growls were from the French capital, Paris, where a conference was held under the motto La liberté de la presse au Maroc, or the liberty of the Moroccan press, which gathered a number of human rights activists and journalists. The event was later on interrupted by Mohammed VI's followers. Insults were shouted and hands were thrown, another failed attempt for the Makhzen to show a better version of the kingdom.
Each year we organize a gathering or a debate on the freedom of press here in Paris, and each year there are people who try to interrupt this conference in a brutal way.
With these latest attempts, the Mahsen only worsened the already catastrophic situation, notably with its country suffering from an unprecedented social crisis, unable to be solved by leaders in place, with an absent king incapable of meeting the needs of people. At the end of the day, only people suffers from the consequences of the acts committed by the regime, including the normalization of relations with the Zionist entity that led to the exploitation of the country's main resources by that last.
Following the failure of the Security Council to adopt the ceasefire in Gaza draft resolution, Algeria's representative to the UN, Ammar bin Jama, stressed the importance of this draft resolution in breaking the silence amid the incapability of the Security Council to act, adding that Algeria's efforts will persist until the Security Council firmly takes action. Updates on the ground in Gaza: the genocide is still ongoing. The death toll exceeded 43,900 mortars, while over 104,000 people are wounded. Famine is likely imminent in the territory, as the UN affirmed that no aid has reached besieged North Gaza for more than 40 days. Similar updates in Lebanon, with the death toll reached 3,558, while over 15,000 are wounded. The ground incursion continues. 6 people were killed, including a Lebanese soldier, in an artillery shelling on the town of Al-Nafura, while the Zionist air forces attacked Al-Khiyam town. Sport now. CR Belouizdad brilliantly defeated Wouloudia of Algiers with 3-1 at the opening of the 10th week of the National Football Championship. The goals of the game, held at the 5th of July Olympic Stadium, were scored by Slimani, Begit and Khassif for CRB and Delors for MCA. A positive result that allowed CRB to rank 10th with 10 points.
بينما بلغي تصويبه المفقود مع بداية الموسم. هذه كرة، هذه إمكانية، هذه فرصة ممكنة. الثالث 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 يا نوفل. والأخطاء الدفاعية الذين كانوا يمنون النفس بانتصار.
The Algerian culture and history are being celebrated in Italy for an entire week. A grand exhibition organized by the Algerian consulate in Naples highlighted the country's heritage, art, and the distinctive elements of its identity, deeply rooted in the Mediterranean region. Afif Blouchet and Medel Maafa.
In the heart of San Domenico Maggiore convent, where the mystical history of Gothic stones blends with Baroque frescoes, Algeria unveils its artistic narrative. From delicate embroidery to radiant jewelry, every expression of art tells a captivating story of 5,000 years of rich history, marked by dazzling peaks and deep sorrow, all linked by a common thread: unwavering resistance in the pursuit of independence and freedom. This exhibition represents a great historical milestone for the great country of Algeria. There are some very beautiful works of art. I am truly fascinated. From the head of Juba II to the Emir's shotgun, from the ancient frescoes of Tassili to the vibrant hues of Baya, and through the elegance of Rasim, the ingenuity of Stamboli, and the grace of El Maya, the exhibition represents a vivid panorama of our history. A key highlight is the flag woven in 1958 alongside powerful photos of the Battle of Algiers, creating a fast-paced and unforgettable narrative. This event was created to better introduce ourselves abroad, so Italians, especially here in Naples, can get to know us. But our identity is not defined by a nation that only emerged in 1962 as a result of colonization. We have a unique identity that has lasted for 5,000 years, and despite foreign influences, we have always preserved it. A history that also attests to our country's Mediterranean roots, which is why the creation of an Italian-Algerian academic space dedicated to the Mar Nostrum is so important, as this university professor advocates. The Mediterranean stretches as far as the olive trees grow. For us, the Mediterranean is a continent. That is why it is essential to work seriously and promote exchange. Nearly 1,000 pieces are on display as part of the Algerian Cultural Week in Naples, an event organized and inaugurated by the Consul General in the presence of the Foreign Diplomatic Corps. This initiative is part of the celebrations marking the 70th anniversary of the November 1st revolution that aims to showcase the cultural richness of our country beyond its borders.
The end. Thank you for watching. Good night and be well.